Hey everyone, this is me, Undead Viking. I'm here to talk about a game called Thieves Market. Now, Thieves Market is a game where you are going to be using dice that are rolled that have all these cool little sides on them. I'll give you a better look here when I show you how to play the game. And you're going to be using those to purchase market cards that are going to strengthen your domain as a king of thieves, if you will. The game is going to be take place over successive rounds in which better and more elaborate market cards are going to become available to you. That there are going to be henchmen and treasure maps and secret hideouts and things like that. And basically, think of yourself as a thief in like ye old dungeon times, if you will, and you're trying to just become the best thief in the land. And you do that by, committing these heists that get this loot, but then after you get the loot, because there's no honor among thieves, you're going to be stealing the loot from other people before they can spend it on things that are actually in the thieves' market. So it sounds a little confusing, but it isn't really, because of the fact that you have all these dice, and one person's going to roll all of them, and what happens is then each person is going to have the option of taking any amount of dice they want out of it, so they can take all of them. And then the next player has a choice of either taking dice that are left in the pool, or they can steal dice from somebody else. And eventually what happens is everybody's got some dice in front of them, and then you're going to move on and purchase cards directly from the market that will then enhance your ability in future turns to get bigger and better loot and bigger cards and bigger and better points, which will lead you to winning the game. So let me show you how to play Thieves Market, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you why I'm having a lot of fun with this one. Alright, cool. Alright, this is Thieves Market, and this is a game for 3 to 5 people. Now, I'm going to pretend I'm playing a game with 5 players in this time. So in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave all the dice in the middle. If you're playing with less players, you will remove some dice from the game. Also, these 3 decks of cards have a certain number of cards in them, but you have to reduce the number of cards to like 13 cards in the A deck, 12 cards in the B deck, and 11 cards in the C deck. And so you don't know which cards are going to be available. Once you've played the game several times, you're going to recognize certain cards or expect certain cards. And so, like, I've removed these cards from the deck, and so those will not come into play. And I like games that do that because obviously it keeps the game fresh, and you can't just bank on a certain strategy because perhaps the cards that you're expecting just won't be in there. So to begin the game, what you're going to do is you're going to take the top 5 cards from the A deck, and you're going to reveal them to all the players. And then each of these cards is going to have a cost that's going to take to buy them, and also they're going to have some sort of a power or ability or a scoring or something on the bottom. So like this card, for example, this pawnbroker, this logo up here tells me that he is a henchman. Like, you can score bonus points at the end of the game for having the most henchmen. And then that is the type of card it is. Over here it tells you what it's going to take to buy it. It's going to take 2 green gems to buy this card. And then it's going to tell me that as the power that it gives me, as soon as I have the card, so as soon as I grab it, I can turn 1 green gem that I have, which are those dice down there. I can turn 1 green gem into the gold side of the die. I can like switch the die to a different facing, and so that gives me that ability. In comparison, let's just say, like, here we have the Alchemical Lab. It is like a magical building. It takes 2 red gems to buy, and then I can switch 1 red gem that I have into any of those faces, the dice. And that's a permanent ability. These cards can never be stolen from you, even though the game is called Thieves Market. Just so you keep that in mind. Once you have it, you have that ability. This is going to be one of those games that it's going to be reminiscent of other dice games where you can chain abilities together. And so that's why, like, when you kind of build a tableau of cards, if you will. And just for example, one last card. So this one, if you take away 1 of your red gems, so like gem die that you have in front of you when you get into the market phase. And most of these powers always come into effect during the market phase, not during the rolling the dice and splitting up the loot phase, which I'm going to explain here in just a moment. We'll give you what this is a notoriety token. Now, because this is a prototype, I don't have notoriety tokens. I have these little clock tokens over here. And notoriety tokens and money, for that matter, are not limited by the number of tokens that are there. So like if you run out of them, you can use something else. But notoriety is what determines who wins the game. So like having something like that where you can just switch one of your red dice. If you don't get a chance to use it, you can just get a point. That's awesome, right? Okay, so you see these dice in front of you. I'm wondering what this little dragon meeple is here. That is the first player token for the game. It'll be different when the published version comes out. But one person will take these dice, and it's usually the first player, but in this case, since it's the first turn, we don't have a first player. So one person takes these dice, they roll them out like so, and what's going to happen is that each person's, like starting with the first player, is going to look and see what's in there, including the first player token, and they're going to take some bit of those things. You could take one thing if you wanted to, or you could take all of it and put it in front of you. It doesn't matter. But whatever you take, you put in front of you, and then the next person will go, and they have the choice between either taking something else from the middle, or they can like steal something that's in front of you. So if you wanted to, like let's say you took these 2 red dice and that dragon token. You want to be the first player, so you took them. Maybe you have your eye on getting this alchemical lab over here. Or actually, you know what? Maybe you want to get both of these 2 cards. That's your goal. You're going to take all 3 of those, and so you push those aside. And what I do when I play is I do separate them by type, because it seems to work pretty well if you do it like that. And just so you know, this is a gold bag. The gold bags don't get you anything at first. After the market phase is done, if you have gold bags, that's when you get coins. You don't get coins right away for them. And this little purple laurel, that is a notoriety token. So you'll gain a notoriety token for having that die. But so you do that turn, and then so maybe the next person goes, and maybe they have their eye on taking this, so they're going to take all 3 of those dice. And maybe the next person, they're going to look at it, and maybe they take all 5 of the gold tokens. They're like, who knows why, they just take those. So it gets to the next person, and they're like, whoa, I'm not going to take this paltry pittance that's left. I'm a thief, I want to steal, so I'm going to steal from the first player. I don't want that. So what they're going to do is they're going to steal that stuff, and they take it and they put it in front of them. So here, we'll put that battle. So the next player took that and took this. Now, when they do that, they have to put something back. So they can't just take everything and put it in front of them. When you put something back, you have to pick something of what you took. So you could take just keep 1 die. You have to keep something. So you could keep 1 die, and you return those 3 items and put them back into the middle. When you return things to the middle, if there are dice, unless you have a market card that tells you differently, you're going to re-roll those dice so they end up being something else. Now notice, you can't steal part from somebody. I couldn't say, I'm going to steal these 2 things from you. That doesn't work. You have to steal everything from the player when you steal. Also, when you steal, because of the fact that you have to put something back in, if a person only had 1 item in front of them, like they had the first player marker, you can't just take 1 item from them. They're immune to being stolen from, because of the fact when you steal from somebody, you have to put something back into the middle, and you have to have something in front of you as well. So having only 1 item protects you from being stolen from. So if you take all 3 of these things, let's say you take that and you're going to roll 1 die, so you re-roll this red die, it turns up green, you put that back in the middle. These 2 players still have their bunches of dice, and then the 5th player would go, and they'd have a decision to make as far as what they're going to take. And so maybe they're going to take all the gold and put that in front of them, and they don't like having all that gold, so they're going to re-roll these 3 dice, and they put those back in the middle for whatever reason. So then the first player goes, and so on and so forth. So eventually what's going to happen is everybody's going to have dice in front of them. And as soon as each person has some measure of loot in front of them, at that point they will then go on to the market phase. And starting with whoever has the first player marker gets to purchase a card from the market. And so in this case, if you have these 2 red dice, you could then take that card and you put it in front of them. And so then this person with the 2 gold, they can't buy anything this round, so then they would not be able to get a card, but they could turn these 2 dice, and remember, you turn those back in, you take these 2 dice, and you get 2 gold coins. Now, gold coins are good because of the fact that gold coins are completely wild. They can replace any color of a gem, and so you don't have to worry about having a situation where, if you didn't get the right dice, you could then use the gold coins to, if you didn't have 2 white gems in the future turn or something, if this card was out there, you could use these 2 gold coins to be these 2 white gems, then you could purchase that item. Now, unlike a lot of games like this, you are not going to fill in the void in the spot that you took it until after the turn is done. So then the next person goes, they're going to turn this one token, they're going to get a victory point for that, and then with these two, they're probably not going to be able, they can't do anything with them, unfortunately. Now, if they had some gold coins, if this wasn't the first turn, they could use those turns, so they're going to turn all that back in the middle, but they did get a notoriety token. We have this person that has these two, and then they can go ahead and purchase this card. Now here's something that's cool. So they put these two blue dice in the middle, but because of the fact that they can then immediately use this card ability, which means you can take one blue die and you can turn it to any other color, they could then, if they had the ability to buy two cards. Normally you can't buy two cards, so I'm just kind of pretending at this point. There's market cards that you can claim that will then allow you to make two purchases in a single turn. So if they had that, they could have switched that to a red die and then immediately purchased another card. But in this case, they can't do that because they don't have that ability. So, they could switch it, though. That's something to keep in mind going forward. As soon as you purchase a card, you are able to then use that ability, which has these things that's pretty cool. Like if you have three white gems or 3 green gems, you could have bought it and then taken the 1 green gem and turned it into a gold coin. Then you'd have a gold coin after the turn. So then finally the last person goes. They're going to purchase the tailor, and they're going to get 2 gold coins for their trouble as well. So they get that, and they get this card by turning it. So then you turn all the dice, go back in the middle, even dice that aren't spent. And then at this point, you're going to fill in the blank spots like so. And so you just turn those over and put those into the locations, and then you're going to, whoever has the first player token will then re-roll all the dice, and you'll go again. As soon as you have a situation where, let's say these cards are gone, and let me see how many I have. So if you had these situation, let's say 2 cards are left in the middle, like here, and then you had, these 3 war cards came out and filled it out, you had another turn, and say these 4 cards are purchased. And you turn the next 2 cards over, like so. You don't have any more cards in the A deck. So when that happens, you then immediately go down to the B deck and you fill out 5 full cards. You don't pull out just 2, so you're going to have a situation where the market is going to have more than just 5 cards available. And you can have situations, because once you get through the B deck, if you have a situation where, these 3 are left, but then you're getting into the C deck because, this has been cleaned out, the same thing would happen. And theoretically, if these hadn't been purchased, you would have cards from each possibility in, both A, B, and C cards available. And so the market can actually have, more than just 5 cards, and actually have cards from any of the letters. So, and obviously, as the game continues and you get into the end game, there's more and more special abilities that present themselves. Plus, you get bigger and better cards. Like here, this one's worth straight 6 victory points. This is a treasure map card, and if you have a treasure map card, it's worth 7 victory points. But if somebody else has a treasure map card as well, then it's only worth 5. And so you want to get all the treasure map cards and things like that. You have cards that have here's a little magic things for every 2 of those you get 3 points. So you have cards that will play upon the market cards that you purchased in prior turns. Once you get through all of these cards, you can't refill the tableau. The game is over, and then everybody is going to total up their points and see who is the winner. The person that has the most gold coins still at the end of the game will get 3 extra points, and the person who has the most henchmen, that's this figure right there, the person who has the most henchmen will get 3 points, and the person with the second most henchmen will get 1 point. And so, like I said, you're going to have situations where you have cards like that one or this one that you're going to score bonus points. You just total up how many points you have. Whoever has the most points obviously is the king of thieves, if you will, and they win the game of Thieves Market. So there you go. That's how you play. It's pretty straightforward. It's more of learning the different synergies of the cards and how they work with each other, and keeping a good idea of how to compile points upon points. If you're just going after straight point cards like that, that isn't a game that you're going to end up being a very viable strategy. You have to have kind of a mentality or an idea of how to either turn the dice that you have straight into these little tokens, or coming up with combinations of cards that are going to then lead to a multiplication of points with especially out of this C deck, with all of the little like special abilities and things that these have at the end of the game. So there you go. All right, so I really like games like this. I like games with dice as resources, and I like just like how competitive it is, and how like it is actually a game where you can actually directly affect the other players because you're stealing dice and so forth. But let me tell you more about Thieves Market in my conclusion, which I'll do right now. From the moment I heard about Thieves Market, I knew it was a game I was going to like. I dug the Dungeons & Dragons fantasy theme. I really, really like the fact that there's a bunch of dice that you get to roll, and the fact that you like have this kind of random chance, but then a chance to mitigate that chance. I really like games like that, like To Court the King, and then like the Pharaoh game. I can't remember the name of it right now. I like games where you roll dice, but then you can affect the dice. And this is one of those games that has that going for it. And I really enjoy the whole stealing mechanism. You know, the fact that, like, you want to take some stuff, but when you take some stuff, you want to make sure that you don't take so much stuff that somebody, like, sees you as somebody that they're going to want to take stuff away from you. And then you have to start over from the beginning. And the really interesting thing is that that's, like, the toughest decision in the game. How much do I take and how much do I leave? So I don't, the stuff that I have in front of me isn't tantalizing enough for somebody to take. And so that's like, that one cool decision. And I think any game for it to be really fun, you have to have that one tough decision. Give me one tough decision per turn and I'm going to like that game. And that's the head scratcher for me. Plus there's the whole fact of, like, you know, just, you know, hey, heck with it, I'm just going to take your stuff. Because of the fact that you just get kind of annoyed, or you want to, like, just try to muck with somebody's plans. And, you know, there's lots of games out there that, like, as far as your way to, you impede somebody else, or your way to interact with them is kind of subtle, or it's on the outskirts and you're kind of wearing the oven mitts and you're just kind of tapping each other on the sides. This is a game where obviously just reaching over and grabbing everything in front of them and taking their dice and putting them in front of you is huge. And the thing is like, also, once again, it's that whole mitigating thing. It's like, well, if I leave the first player marker out there, maybe there's a really cool card and everybody's going to be gunning for that one card. So if I leave the first player marker out there, but I take, you know, 5 really good gems that help me, you know, the next player is, like, going to be saying, well, geez, you know, it's like, you know, do I want the first player marker or do I want those gems? And because you can't mix and match, obviously. And that's, like I said, the one tough decision. I love that about this game. It is very colorful. It is very evocative of the theme. It is a very dynamic game, and this is a game that sponsors Table Talk. I don't mind if people are like, you should steal from him. You should steal from him. Don't take mine. And mine won't help you. That sort of thing. And that's also another situation where, like I said, like when I was showing you how to play, it's one of those things where you have that chain of abilities that you can have set up. So this one will allow me to change this die to that die. That one will let me change that die then to a gold coin, or that guy into a notoriety point. You know, things like that. And that's the one thing that I always shoot for in this game, is I never want to have a wasted die. I never want to be in a situation where I get done and, like, I have that, like, one white die or what diamond and I can't do anything with it, so I'm just throwing that back in the middle for nothing. You never want to have that situation, and that's tough to do, but that's, like, kind of my goal with each turn. And because it's tough to do, that's the kind of thing that the game, you know, isn't masterable, you know, very easily, and it's going to bring me back to the table to be competitive with the players at the table, and you know, challenging them and challenging myself to play it better the next time around. So there you go. I mean, that is Thieves Market. If you have any questions about how to play the game or any questions about the gameplay, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those questions to the best of my ability. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, this was the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.